in case other people join in. Okay, so for the maintenance, every other shop has their own workbench, right? Master Drivers just got their new nice pretty workbench. Supply has Zeus menu, which puts everything together. PBO has theirs, which it makes it just easy for them to do everything they need to do. We actually now have one for us, and that is Zsaber. So the reason why they rolled this out and sunsetted iWhiskey 42 is because at the end of the day, iWhiskey 42 was creating fractures and closing out PMO6s and a few other things, and it was just not a consistent tool to close out notifications and or work orders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over Zsaber from start to finish and all the different tools that you can do in there to close out a work order and notate time. So Zsaber can be executed one of a few different ways. Let me actually start from. So Zsaber is actually the equivalent of iWhiskey 38. That's India Whiskey 38. There's very little difference between the two. You can also get to it through your Equipsit. So when you highlight your entire Equipsit and you click orders, it actually drills you into Zsaber automatically. So you'll actually see it right here, Saber. If you work in an FMS support shop, if you work at an AMSA, if you work at an ECS, you can also drill directly into it through just the TCode Zsaber. So like most things, you can pull it a variety of different ways. If you know your order number, if you know you can search by equipment number. Generally speaking, you only want to see the order status for open. However, if you want to look at a closed work order, you can as well. And I prefer UIC when you're going to drill directly into it. And you want to mass load through here, not use the range that I was doing on autopilot. To mass load stuff, to mass load UICs, mass load equipments, you click on the additional arrow to the right. You click on the upload from clipboard. So if you work at a battalion or brigade level and you want to pull information in mass, you can have like an Excel spreadsheet similar to what I have, where it has all the different UICs. In fact, I'll actually show you. So what you can do is you just go down, click upload from clipboard, and it automatically populates. The reason why you don't hit Control V on the keyboard is it'll stop at the last viewable field. And you just execute and execute. So what this is doing right now, this is pulling all the work orders with that UIC association. And again, you can just go in through your Equipsit and click orders. It'll drill into it the same exact way. Or it'll drill into the same TCode. The difference is when I do it this way, it may find an old work order that's on a piece of equipment that has been laterally transferred. So when you pull by UIC, you might find some stuff additional that's out there that's counting against you, but may not necessarily be part of your equipment anymore. I have a custom layout, by the way, so yours will look a little bit different than mine, but the functionality will be exactly the same. So we're going to go through and I'm going to close out a work order that is an old one for 744. That was before the AGR motor sergeant would have hit ground, and we're going to check everything. So these are your tool controls right here. We're going to work from left to right and talk about what each of these buttons do, and then we're going to talk about a couple of the options up here. So say you're cutting work orders and you need to send it to your respective ECS or AMSA. You actually can use the work forwarding button. Now you can do this against multiples. So if I wanted to send both of these at the same time, I can do that with the work forwarding. You can do every single thing. You can do just one. That option is available. Here you just simply put in what the new work center you want. And if you hit print maintenance request, it reprints a new work order so that you can sign the work order and submit it. If you want to see pre-built-in associations, you can click on that and it'll show you who the traditional support associations are. So it's just this whole section here is the exact same as this part right here. That's what that work forwarding button that you see. There's no difference between the two. Yeah, this is an old PM06. So I'm going to show you that it works by just simply going here, putting in my UIC, and execute update. And it's okay because the conditions status of uniform, that's part of the TAT workflow. It's not going to allow it to reset to awaiting evacuation. So if you were to create a brand new one, which is like an alpha status, it would allow that. So let me find one that I can do. Okay, so that's an annual. So what I'll do. Okay, here's one that's I can mess with to show you. And we'll talk briefly on what that TAT workflow is. There's pre-designated, it's a really in-depth conversation, but if you think back to the old SAM systems where you had to check the box at a couple of different points, that's what it is. But you'll see that it says it'll reset to the status O. You'll see that it was successfully updated. Now if I go back and I refresh, you'll notice that same one is now going to populate with my unit after it finishes thinking, because there's a lot of work orders up here. So while this is thinking, I'm going to go on to this next one here. The support shop acceptance is not something that's really going to be utilized unless you're an FSC or maybe an alpha, or you're a support shop like an AMSA or ECS. So what happens is when you forward a work order to another unit, they create the sub-order system. That sub-order system gives them the ability to use their own customer fund codes that are associated with work orders and track on their own stuff. The reason why this is done is it makes it easier on the financial side, right? An AMSA or ECS shop before would have to kind of jump through the hoops to see how much they spent on each unit. Now they can go through and you'll see here that this has now been updated. Actually, you know what? I can do it with this one because this is one I believe I can just close out. So as a support shop acceptance, I am that FSC. I am their FSC. So if I wanted to work on this Humvee, I can click this. This part here will automatically populate. You can trigger it, say, hey, this order type is actually a PM01. I don't want it to be a PM06. And you can go through and do urgency codes, which, so if, say, 744 was deploying, I could say, hey, it's deploying. I need a 555. It's deploying, so I would have a project code. And then the suborder fund code is just where I put in mine, and then my CFC. with all this inputted the way that I want it to be, which I don't want it to actually be a 555. These right here are different priorities. 555 is I'm mobilizing, 777 is a mobilization. This is I want it in 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 28 days. It affects how quickly you get your parts when they come in. This is where I don't want to bother printing it, and I want to accept it and create the suborder. Okay, so now this one here says the suborder was created and the customer order system condition updated. This is your superior order, so this is the one that originally was there. This is the suborder, and I actually changed the type from a PM06 to a PM01. So we're going to go with, and what I'm doing is I'm typing out what the suborder is just so I can find it easier on here. And you go back, and I'm going to sort it by admin. There's no admin number associated because that's a PM06. Okay. I'll leave it as is and go through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually load these two orders together, and just so for everybody to track. The way I would normally do this is I would normally just drill in and find the suborder through this button here, and that would tell me. But I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing and why. Okay, so these are the two orders. Now, as you go through, if you're an FMS shop or if you are an FSC and you're deployed and you're doing the work for those units, anything you do is going to pretty much be in here. This is it. This is the nuts and bolts for everything. I just realized there's actually a glitch. Interesting. Okay. So it actually allowed me to trigger an unassociated. Okay, so that's something I didn't realize that can be done. You can actually glitch the system to allow an unassociated PM01. I didn't even think about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the order progress. So this actually, let's see if it allows me to do it. It may trip. This may have been a bad example because it may trip out since there's no serialized equipment associated with it. So that's what this button is. This button really FSC think, or your AMSA shop, or your ECS, or your FMS, whatever you want to call your dedicated maintenance shop. Order progress is those system condition codes. So the order progress is the ones that we use, generally speaking, is Alpha, which is awaiting, Bravo, which is in shop, Charlie, awaiting shop. This is after parts are ordered, after initial. You'll see some with an I, a J, a K, and these are if parts are currently on order, not PGR'd. And we have a TAT workflow that actually goes through Alpha through 0 as well as 1 through 9. Foxtrot, final inspection, and then you'll see ECSs or AMSs use R and U. We really don't, and that is complete. So order progress. You never go all the way to here. This will be done in the very final step. So in this particular case, I want to take it from Alpha to Bravo and go here. Once you click Execute Update, it'll say work order successfully updated. One additional note is whatever the actual system condition code in here, it'll tell you an error if it's the wrong type, and it'll show you a display of what it can be. So I'm going to go back. Oh, this is one important note. You actually won't be able to do multiple things in the same time. So if I want to go from Alpha to, or Bravo to, let's say I wanted to go 1, and I click execute update. Now if I wanted to go from 1 to Bravo, it'll say it here, but if you go back and you refresh, you'll see it didn't take. It only allows you to do it once a time. So we're going to go back to Bravo, and here's where it says glitch. Status Bravo not set. Order status is set to Charlie. So it would not let me take it from a condition of 1 back to Bravo. So in here, this is, and the nice thing is you can actually highlight as many of these as you want. So say you're on a battle assembly weekend, you can do all of your work orders at the exact same time. That's why this T-code is very nice. You can progress 4 different bays if you're working at 4 shops simultaneously, 4 work orders through each of the different steps. It does not matter. Now, because there's a suborder and superior order, I don't want to do that, because what will happen is as this one moves, it triggers this one. So from Charlie, we're going to go put it back in shop. And I know this because it's based on that TAT workflow. And I can send an email to anybody who requires that. It is loaded up on the 91 Bravo AGR group. Sergeant Newberry put one iteration out. Chief Murphy put another. So it's in there. So this is the how to move stuff along. Now, if it was in Bravo and I went straight to, oh, hey, this is done, and you'll notice there's a system condition code, close technically complete. This won't let it happen because you can't go from Bravo to Sierra. So let's say, I'm going to come back to this real quick. I'm just putting this in really quickly to show you that problem. Because this is what's going to throw a lot of people for a loop. They say, oh, I want to close it. You hit technically complete. You'll see an error saying that status is not permitted. So what has to happen is you have to move this along through certain iterations. So from Bravo, the next step is Foxtrot. So you won't see it update here, but when you go back and you refresh, you'll see it here. Now, from here, you can actually go through and go from Foxtrot to Sierra. Time confirmation requires at least a single confirmation being put in. So just like iWhiskey42, you need 1. Well, okay, bad example. iWhiskey42, you can delete them all out. But you need at least 1 on the suborder and the superior. Okay, on the superior order, if you receive a work order back from your AMS or ECS, traditionally we actually take 0.1 of an hour, and that's our time to do the work. Now, this is where you can look to see if an order has, or if a confirmation has already taken place. Set this on silent. If a confirmation has taken place, you don't actually have to do anything. It will allow it to go through without it taking place. So I'm going to technically complete the order, and it permits it. You'll notice this particular one does not have the fault clearing. The fault clearing affects your notification. So for the folks that don't know, this is your time confirmation. This affects the work order and traditionally was done through iWhiskey 37 November. This one assigns your activity code and your cause code, as well as tickles a notification. And this one here closes the work order itself. Now, this one here, you'll notice it actually did update the system condition code because it went to Romeo. I'm going to check something real quick, make sure that they're, yeah, I know. Not serialized. On a PM06, anytime you drill in, you have to recheck that box. It's actually annoying. Okay, so there's no components against this, and this was a 3 or 4 year old work order, so if they haven't fixed that Humvee overheating, they got bigger issues. So on this particular one here, we go the order progress. We're going to push this to uniform because you can't go from Romeo to Sierra. This actually gives you the ability to update the work order back to where it's at. So you can say, yes, go ahead and update it. And this will take it from my UIC back to the original. So it'll take it from this work center and update the work order back to here. Unit wise, this is not something you'll probably end up having to do. Most of the time, this will be the AMSAs or the support shops, like an FSC, that does this. This way, it gives the owning motor sergeant the ability to do their final inspection and check it off, or just hit, they're good to go. So it went through and it updated. Now, this one here, when you go into work completion, again, it'll want time confirmation. You'll see this one here has 0 hours. So this one here is going to require that 0.1. And I'm just going to give it to myself. And you click save. And then, yep. And then it'll allow it to clear it. Now I'm going to go to the one that has a notification associated with it, so I can show what that looks like. I'm going to also show you how to update operations over the course of multiple days. So let me find something I can kill that I don't care about. Which of the, was it a water buffalo for FSC that was good to go, or was it HHC?
FSC is the one that's good to go.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this one up. So we're going to kind of go over a few of these additional things up here real quick. So I Whiskey 37 November. If you want to give yourself time over the course of multiple days, you can actually drill in through up here. This is I Whiskey 37 November. You highlight the row, click on operations, and then you can go through and do individual time confirmations for each thing. So you go to individual confirmations. This down here shows the total that has previously been entered. And I actually got out and turned a wrench on this one, which was for a little bit of the time. But I'm going to give our specialist Coleman the rest of the time because he actually was the one who put in dedicated time. You can change the posting date here. So if you work on something over the course of a few days, you can update it right here. And that way you don't end up with 24 hours in a single day. Click save. This down here, remaining work, this tells the G Army that I'm going to re-enter another individual confirmation for this one operation on the work order, and I'm going to count for 2 more hours. So I can do that with having 2 more entries for 1 hour. So if I have 3 soldiers working on one task, I can give each of them 1 hour against a 3-hour job. It'll preload in the actual work time based on what was remaining work, and you'll see down here the 1 hour that has already been the cumulative actual work and the forecast work. Yeah, that's him. All right. Just hit save. So that's now going to confirm this one, and I'm going to show you the rest of them on the other the work order bit. So, order progress, I still need to move it along because I can't leave it in Charlie. Everything's been consumed against it. It needs to be put back into shop. And then final inspection because it's now been complete. And then I stop there. Now, if I wanted to Zulu something else, this part is super critical. You always stop one step before the final end system condition code. The reason being is you do the final step here. So you go here, this is actually an adjustable field. The default is Sierra because that is, hey, things are closed and done. If I wanted to Z it out, you have to override what's in here, and you can click on it to show all the condition codes in case you want to see it. And because I'm in Foxtrot, it won't allow me to close it out in Zulu. It has to be in Alpha, Bravo, or Charlie for it to be closed out in Zulu. So if I want to leave it as Zulu, when I go to technically complete, it'll give us an error. But I'm going to show you this step, cause it to error out, and then I'll put it back to where it should be. Time confirmations. You'll see here that there was 3 previously confirmed hours. I also want to give him time against this stuff. The only requirement is to have at least one of these filled in, period. That's the only actual requirement. With that, you want to make sure you give your guys the appropriate amount of time put against the actual work that's being done. And he did this yesterday, so I'm going to go through, change that. Now, I'm going to highlight the ones that I want to action, okay? I did nothing to this one, so I'm leaving that undone. You just click Save, and it updates. As long as one confirmation has been put in, you don't have to go into this button. It is not required. So if you manage your man hours through that other button that I showed you, which was up here, the Operations tab, that top button is not required. Here is where we do actions against the notification. So I want to update the cause code and activity code. You check this box that tells GArmy, hey, I want something to happen. If I only want to update this one, I leave this one unchecked. So in this particular case, it was actually in op. So even if I fill this in, if I don't check this box, it will not update the notification. So that's actually the wrong one. I don't want to do that one. Okay. So I want it to update. I'm going to check both boxes. Highlight the row you want to change. If you have multiple notifications, so say you're doing masks, then you can actually go through and highlight all of them and apply this to all of them. Say you are doing a repair and a service against the same work order, which you shouldn't be doing, but say you did, or you have multiple notifications against a single repair order, you can actually cherry pick which ones are doing what. So you would see them stacked 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can highlight just the ones you want to affect change on, and then you click the button and it'll apply it. And what you'll see is you'll see this now being filled out. That's how you know it took. Then you highlight, you clear and close. This is what clears the notification. You'll see this down here is a reporting screen only. This won't show you, this will show you successes or fails or what took place. And you'll see normally it would say, hey, there is an error with completing this action if there was something that caused it to have an issue. So I'm going to intentionally cause this to glitch because I can't go from Foxtrot to Zulu. But this is the step here that will actually close the work order. Status Zulu not allowed for status Foxtrot. Now we actually did the work, so I'm going to close it out as a Sierra, which is the default. But I wanted to show you that if you want to close something out as Zulu, you have to make sure you stop before you get to Zulu. You need to stop at the last place where it's acceptable to go straight to it. Alpha or Bravo system condition codes, you can go straight to Zulu and you still use this. You just write it up there. But when you hit technically complete, it is now done. So this notification and work order were both actioned from start to finish. So that was a lot of information. Is there any questions? I recorded this video, and so anybody on the AGR channel or who has access to this meeting will be able to go in and rewatch this at their convenience. If you go up to the help feature and you go to GCSS, while you're in this TCode, and you go up to help, GCSS Army, remember my decision. What it's doing is it's preloading this TCode into the EUM Plus. And this will show everything that's associated with it. Okay. Couple of things. XBRs are a cross-business process. What this means is this is a transaction guide that will show you start to finish in potentially multiple transaction codes, multiple T codes. If you see anything that says job order or job assistance, JA, there isn't one for this particular thing, but I'm going to show you. You can just search JA. What's a good one? This will show you a start to finish job aid for doing a dispatch for any type of transaction. So just know if you're searching the UM Plus, XBR means cross business process. Job aid means dispatch. Or I'm sorry, job aid means a job aid, how to do a start to finish for a single action in G-Army. So I want to create a work order. There's a job aid for creating a work order. I want to do a dispatch. There's a job aid for that dispatch. So it's just a couple of search things in the UM Plus that might help. But that's all I have. Everybody on here knows how to reach out to me direct if you have any questions. Kind of keeping it short and sweet. Well, not really short, but reach out if you have any problems. I'm more than willing to work with you to walk you through.